If the Reds miss the playoffs by a game or two, you're going to remember this stretch.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. You can follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they're calling it these days, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram, but follow us here on YouTube. And thanks so much for making Locked On MLB your first listen every day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Didn't do a show yesterday, but I think I doubled up over the weekend. So you're going to get your 5 shows this week. In fact, you make it 6, you make it 7. I'm going to be doing a lot of shows. There's a lot of things to talk about. But first and foremost, let's talk about the trivia question. I asked the question, which Tampa Bay Ray player has the most hits in franchise history? And there really were only 2 answers that could possibly be correct. Angel Alvarado says, trivia guess, Evan Longoria? No, it was not Evan Longoria, but Yostik 34, and a couple other people got it right. My favorite player of all time. That's why I picked for Yostik, because I like that his favorite, or her, I don't know Yostik. I'm sorry. I made an assumption there. Trivia question, my favorite player of all time, Carl Crawford. It's funny that when players get a bad reputation because of a contract that kind of flopped, like Carl Crawford did with Boston, it takes away the fact that they did something to earn that contract. I remember a lot of people trashing the Kevin Brown contract when he signed with Los Angeles and then later bombed in the playoffs with the New York Yankees. But he was a phenomenal pitcher before he signed that contract. Carl Crawford was a terrific all-around player for Tampa Bay, who cashed in with the Red Sox and literally fell on his face in the final play of the 2011 season. And, it's a shame because Crawford was a fine player, had a nice career. Anyway, speaking of fall on our face, before we do that, let's talk about who owned baseball. Who owned baseball for April 3rd, 2025? And it'll lead into our what we're talking about for today. We have the first multi-WOB player, the first person who owned baseball total has reached more than one, and that's Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge went 3 for 5 with a 3-run home run, a stolen base to power the Yankees past Arizona 9-7. Also getting full WOBs would include JT Realmuto, who reached base 4 times, scored a run, stole 2 bases. Philadelphia won yet another game where they edged out the other team. They held on. The Rockies rallied in the 9th, but in the end, Philadelphia, my pick to win the World Series this year, prevailed. They're winning games. They're winning games left and right. Nestor Cortez, boy, just shows you when you don't have those torpedo bats, you're a pretty good pitcher. Allowed 1 hit, struck out 6 over 6 innings. Milwaukee blanked Cincinnati 1-0. We'll get to that. And Hunter Brown struck out 8 and walked none to get the 5-2 decision over for the Astros over the Minnesota Twins. By the way, Hunter Brown now has a WOB over 1. His total is 1.5. Half WOBs. Geraldo Perdomo hit a grand slam in the D-backs loss to the Yankees. Cedric Mullins homered and stole a base, but the Orioles were doubled up by Boston 8-4. Someone asked the other day if I ever have relief pitchers get a WOB or a half WOB. Well, guess what? Darren McCacken of Minnesota threw 2 scoreless innings and struck out 4 batters, including Jose Altuve, who struck out 5 times tonight. He gets a half WOB, mainly because he pitched well out of the bullpen, and also because, there were the American League starting pitchers who lost didn't necessarily pitch that great. You did pitch really well. Nick Lodolo pitched into the 7th, allowed 4 hits and no runs over 6 innings, but the Reds were shut out by Milwaukee 1-0. And that's the first thing we're going to talk about today is that I mentioned Cortez, who had the doors blown off the dump in when he went back to Yankee Stadium, and the first 3 pitches he threw were hit out of the ballpark, and we found out that they were using something. They went to Wakanda to get bats apparently, and he wound up pitching very well, and they won 1-0. Now, if that sounds familiar, this is the 3rd straight game. This is unreal. This is the 3rd straight game where the Cincinnati Reds have lost 1-0. They lost today 1-0 to Milwaukee. They lost the day before 1-0 to Texas, and the same thing the day before that. They're the first team to lose 3 straight 1-0 games since the 1960 Philadelphia Phillies. And it's happened, this is according to Yahoo Sports. It's happened 6 times in the history of the majors, but 4 of those times were between 1908 and 1917, the dead ball era. So since the live ball era, it's happened twice. Once in 1960 with the Philadelphia Phillies, and now. And they've, by the way, if you want to catch up on the Reds, first of all, you could listen to the good folks over at Locked On Reds, but also check out the Gamecast, the Cincinnati Red Gamecast, which are hosted by Tim Daniel, who did a terrific job hosting and going over the games today. But this is agonizing. The Reds are 2-5 right now. 2-5 after this loss to the Milwaukee Brewers. When you lose 5, it's never the right time to lose 5 out of 7 games. But I mean, this is, and again, obviously it's the first week of the season, so it's tough to go crazy. But the fact of the matter is they've played 7 games this year, and they've already lost 2 one-run games. And that doesn't count the opening day where they were 1 strike away from winning against and wound up losing 6-4 in the 9th inning. But you take a look at on Wednesday, they played Texas, and the Reds got Hunter Green pitched a hell of a game against a good hitting ball club. 8 strikeouts, 7 innings, 1 run. I don't care who you are. That's a good start. Loss. And the previous night, when they played Texas on April Fool's Day, the Rangers scored a run in the 1st inning on a home run by Wyatt Langford. All right, fine. You let up a home run in the 1st. That's enough time to make up for it. Wrong. Carson Spires, who only let up 2 hits after that home run. Scott Barlow let up 1 hit. The Rangers got 3 hits after the home run. They got 4 hits altogether. But Nathan Eovaldi throws a complete game shutout. Well, that happens. You had an ace pitching that. But they weren't facing aces the next game. And you take a look at this. I mean, the Reds' bats have just been nothing short of grotesque. And today they put 2 on the 7th inning. They had 2 on and 1 out. And then Elvis Peguero came out and got Spencer Steer and Espinal, and then that was it. And end of the threat. End of the threat. Terry Francona would be pulling out of his hair if he had any. And again, I mean, this is a point, and I'm going to really nail this on a later point, but this is a razor-thin division. Right now, the Cardinals have the best record, 4-2. But the Cardinals are full of holes. There's no runaway favorite in this division. And yes, there's over 150 some odd games to make up for it, but you're wasting great pitching. The Reds have good pitching, but you can't act like this is the 1995 Braves and have Hall of Famers up and down their staff. You have to look at this as a team that said you can't afford to have games where you have Green throwing 7 innings, letting up 1 run. I know I sound like I'm an alarmist, but we're 7 games into the season, and there are 4 games that they've lost that they've had no business losing. Let's say 2 of those flipped. And, psychologically, the idea of being 4-2 instead of, 2 I would be 3-2 instead of 2-5. Whatever. You know what I'm saying. I'm not good at math. The Reds got to find their bats. This is bad couple of series, but you can't keep dropping 1-0 games. This is not a team designed to be losing games 1-0. And with this division, you cannot afford to do that. It sounds silly, but earmark this and get back to me in September if the Reds are in a razor thin race. Hey, do you ever find yourself looking at your bank account and saying, hey, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money, you start building wealth. And do you know what? When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on things. And do you know what? I started to budget and I started to use my money in a more intelligent manner. And instead of juggling multiple apps, I can use Monarch to check my finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. And you can manage my partner smoother than ever. You know what? You can share accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Monarch Money. Let's be smart with our money. By the way, the Twins lost today to Houston. And so they were the only AL Central team going into the play game on Thursday. Going into Thursday, all 5 teams were 2-4. All 5 teams played 6 games and lost 4 of them. And so when you look back at their baseballreference.com page at the end of the year, all 5 AL Central team will have at least one day they were in first place because they were all tied. Well, Minnesota now has fallen into 5th place, so now there's a 4-way tie. But it was interesting today with that. It's like the American League Central has a reset, saying, okay, we are just resetting the season. 6 games in, no one's done anything of note. Let's now play, let's play a 156 game season now. And that's essentially what they're doing. The White Sox could say they had at least 2 days in first place. But this is what I was saying from the beginning. That you have divisions where there's no clear winner. So you got to snatch as many of those wins as possible early on. Those are games you won't have to be making up for later. I'm going to hit that point over and over again because it's true. You can't lose dumb games right now. Now, there's a couple other pieces of news. First of all, the first 3 games in Sacramento for the Sacramento A's, they didn't go well. And again, I cannot stress this enough. I want the A's to succeed. I have a gigantic soft spot in my heart for the A's. I do not have a soft spot in my heart for the ownership of the A's, but I have a soft spot in my heart for this team. I want them to do well. I want them to stick it in the eye of some people. And the A's wound up winning 2 of their first 3 games. It was kind of fun. And then since then, they lost the 2-1 game to Seattle. And then boom, 18-3 in the opener in Sacramento. 7-4 was actually a decent game on April Fool's Day. And then on Wednesday, they lost 10-2. And now they're going to go to Colorado for a few days before coming back to play San Diego on next week. And here's something that's kind of disturbing. Their attendance was 12,000 on opening day, 10,000 on April 1st, less than 10,000 on April 2nd. It was a day game. It was a day game on a Wednesday on a school day, so we can't go crazy. But 9,000, that's what you'd expect at the Oakland Coliseum. Wasn't the thing we kept hearing that they were going to sell out every game in Sacramento? Were we hearing that they have to sell out every game in Sacramento to have any money coming in here? and to show that, like, hey, we can have a fan base here and cheering them on. I wonder how much of that has to do with the fact that they are not representing the city. You're not exactly you're not sort of endearing yourself to the fans if they can't even refer to the city. And the ticket prices are through the roof because they have to make up for lost revenue because you only have X number of seats going on here. I would love it. I would love it if every single day in Sacramento, when the Sacramento A's are at home, if it's kind of like Mardi Gras, it's a party. There were a lot of Cub fans there on April 2nd. But you know what? We're going to go on and see. In fact, I'm going to do more than talk about this from afar. I'm going to do more than just say, oh, well, do you know what? Talking a big game about, well, this, that, or the other thing about Sacramento this or Sacramento that. No. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And I am going to go next week to see the Sacramento A's play the San Diego Padres. I'm going to go there firsthand. I don't want to talk about this in the abstract. I don't want to talk about this in, well, from where I'm sitting, it doesn't look. No, I want to see, is it a party atmosphere? I've been to Sutter Health Park. I saw a River Cats game there last year in the blazing hot sun of a July day. I'm going to go to a game in April where this buzz is still there. It's still brand new. It'll be either the fourth or fifth game ever played in Sacramento for the A's. And so there should be a novelty to it. The novelty should still be there. Oh my God, there's a major league team right there. We can go see a major league team play. And they're going to be playing the San Diego Padres, a really exciting ball club. I'm going to check it out. I don't need to check out the stadium. I know the stadium. It's a good stadium, but I want to see the atmosphere. I want to see if the fans are embracing them. I want to see if there's a buzz. I want to see if there's an excitement, and talk to some of the fans while I'm there. Because I don't want to be someone who is talking and, just from the sidelines. And I've said that I think they're better off finding the funding to build a stadium in Sacramento than go to Las Vegas. I do not think Las Vegas is a good market. If they stay in Sacramento, I want them to be a huge success, even if the Fishers are owning it. Because while I don't like the Fishers as owners, most of the time I don't think about the owners or care about the owners. And if they win, like one of the worst owners I've ever seen was Jeffrey Loria, but the Marlins won a World Series with him as owner. If you're a Marlins fan, you love 2003. If he has his Loria championship, I would love that. If it's in Sacramento, where I think they should stay, I think that's a better baseball market and better fans, or not better fans, but a better fan, a more deeper roots for the fan base than in Las Vegas. But if they're in Las Vegas, I want them to be the team to see. I want them to be a massive success if they play in Las Vegas. I just don't think Vegas is the place to do that. But I'm going to go check out a game in Sacramento. I'm going to see what it's like. I'm going to see what a minor league stadium can feel like hosting a Major League Baseball game. Because from where I'm sitting on the outside looking in, it looks like a minor league baseball game. So we'll check it out and see what can happen there. By the way, one other piece of news happened just as I was setting up this podcast. It looks like there's going to be, I'm going to go to MLB trade rumors because I saw this here just as I was about to start recording this. The city council in St. Petersburg is voted to spend $22.5 million tomatoes to help repair the Tropicana field roof. Again, I can't stress this enough. I never think you should spend public money on a private enterprise. It's not a public park. But if this is going to move towards a solution where at least one of the teams isn't playing in a minor league ballpark, then there you go. And if this could be step one in repairing the damage that has been done over the last, month or so between the Rays and the Rays ownership, with the Rays ownership and Pinellas County and the city of St. Petersburg, if this could be step one in some sort of olive branch, that's great. I don't think they should play in St. Petersburg. I think they should play in Tampa, downtown Tampa. I think they would have a huge following there and be a big, big hit, much like how the Lightning have been. But we've been hearing the stadium's in the wrong place, and so, all right, make a temporary fix there, and then come up with a new plan. Come up with something, and make it work, because this is just minor league park thing. Do you know what it is? It's just not a long-term situation. And folks, if you want to build your brand of baseball, you can't have a bush league situation like this. Now, of course, the A's are a self-inflicted wound, and the Rays are not. But at least there's some progress happening for a potential answer in Central Florida. We'll see if it works. All right, let's hear from our good friends over at, where is it right here? I got it right here. Just Ingredients. Huh? Just Ingredients. Now, when it comes to fueling your body, quality matters. That's why Just Ingredients is changing the game with clean, high-quality products designed to support better health and peak performance. Just Ingredients offers an NSF-certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. Just Ingredients has also partnered with two-time most valuable player Bryce Harper, probably future Hall of Famer, who trusts their NSF-certified sports line to fuel his training and recovery. Now, I love that Just Ingredients prioritizes wholesome, nourishing ingredients without all that artificial junk. Whether you're recovering from workout or need energy boost, their grass-fed whey product and pre-workout delivered real results. Visit justingredients.us and use code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off. And for more wellness tips, follow just.ingredients on Instagram. And we're going to go from one to another, because it's time to talk about wonderful pistachios. You have no idea how many sponsor things I have just within a grasp here. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. Wonderful pistachio is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to keep you fueling yourself and you feel fuller longer. Now, this is the one I like. I like out of the shell, roasted and salted. And you know what? It's complete protein, providing all 9 essential amino acids. I can't name all 9. I've never, ever pretended that I could. And these little green wonders, they pack a protein punch. And no shells, these are grab and go ease when it comes to a snack. Whether you're running between meetings or heading to do your podcast, Wonderful Pistachio they're the snack that works as hard as you do. So get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. So we got a couple people. A useless trucker, by the way, writes in, can the Dodgers go undefeated? No, but I thought they were going to lose the other day. And I had a whole thing I was planning to talk about. And then they rallied and Shohei walked off, and I was just tired. Mike Lawton's is not a Carl Crawford fan. As a Red Sox fan, Carl Crawford is my least favorite player, resulted in Tito firing. No, it wasn't Carl Crawford resulted in Tito firing. It was the pitching. The fact that the pitching was so horrific down the stretch in 2011. But I think we all got it over 2 years later when the Red Sox won the World Series. And by we, I mean Red Sox fans. In some interesting news, a bunch of players have signed contract extensions over the last few days. Ketel Marte, all-star second baseman for the Diamondbacks, looks like he has signed a deal. He can opt out of the deal after the 2030 season, but he's going to be spending the rest of the decade in Arizona. And the interesting thing is Arizona extended Marte. They also extended Brandon Pfaadt. And, of course, they have some other players already signed to major long-term deals, including Zach Gallen. And this means that this Diamondbacks team is going to be around for the next couple of years. The Dodgers are in a great division, and they have a Padres team that is really, really good. But the Diamondbacks said, you know what? We are going to contend, and we're going to keep our stars around, and good for that. And isn't that what we want? Why are we going to have a lockout in salary caps? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Someone explain it to me. By the way, the Padres signed Jackson Merrill to a 9-year deal. And Jackson Merrill, who is, one of their young star players on their team, all-star last year, runner-up in the Rookie of the Year. And the Padres say, heck with this. Let's keep him. Let's sign him. Let's sign him to a long-term deal and tie up his entire prime. And, that works. If you're Jackson Merrill, it's like, hey, look, you get paid now. You get to be a millionaire right away. You don't have to wait for your, playing games with arbitration or maybe trade him away or whatnot. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, some of these may not work, but I like the fact that teams are getting aggressive. And the Red Sox signed 2 very aggressively. They acquired Garrett Crochet from the White Sox over the offseason, and they signed to a 6-year deal. So Red Sox fans who you got a bunch of the young prospects are coming up, and Devers is signed for a while, Bregman is signed for a while. Well, Crochet is signed for a while too. And speaking of the young players, Kristian Campbell made the roster, and right away looks like he fits in. And the Red Sox said, the hell with it. Let's just forget your arbitration years and forget your first couple of years of free agency. 8-year extension. Let's forget about all that. You don't have to, we're not going to have to worry about free agency for you until 8 years from now. And I love it. Now, of course, some of these could blow up in their face. But I always think that it's good when a team says, you know what? We're going to try to keep our players around. We're going to try, instead of doing the whole dance around in the arbitration, it's like, well, it's his 5th year, better trade him away. You know what? Even if they do trade him away, they'll be able to get something back for him. So good for all these extensions here, and we'll see what happens. Tomorrow is Friday. We are going to have another show tomorrow, and we got a full slate of games going on. Starting, we have what do we have going on tomorrow? Hold on, I just had to open the White Sox and the Tigers. They're okay. We know one of those teams are going to win that game, so one team will be moving ahead as you have the log jam in the American League Central. Walker Buehler is going to be pitching for the Red Sox against Pfaadt and the Cardinals. The Cubs and the Padres. The Padres are 7-0. As great as the Dodgers have been, the Padres are breathing right down their neck. And of course, the Cubs have played well since they've been playing Sacramento, but we'll see how they do against the Padres. The Blue Jays, who are off to a better start than people thought. The Mets, who are off to a start. We'll see if that continues. Sacramento heads off to Colorado, and we'll see how Beto and company pitch against the Rocks. The Yankees and Max Fried are going up against Ketel and the Pirates. Pirates have lost a bunch of close games. Keller's a really good pitcher. We'll see what's happening there. Mariners and the Giants. Verlander is going up against Castillo, so we'll see. That's a decent matchup there. Pfaadt signed a long-term deal, and he's going up against the Nats, who only have 1 win so far. The Dodgers and the Phillies. Dodgers, that could be an NLCS preview. And if the Dodgers and Phillies lock antlers, that could be the Dodgers' first loss. But don't worry about it. You won't be able to see it because it's on Apple TV. Here's a sentence no one's ever said. Oh, good. It's on Apple TV. This terrific game is going to be on Apple TV. Put all the games on MLB. We'll pay the premium. What are you talking about? Someone posted something that the Braves have more PED suspensions this year than wins. I forgot who posted that. That was pretty harsh. They're going up against the Marlins, who actually have a winning record so far. The Braves aren't this bad. The Braves are not this bad. They'll win a game eventually. KC versus Baltimore. That was a playoff matchup last year. Remember that? The Rays and the Rangers are locking antlers, but that's on Apple TV, so no one will see that. The Brewers and the Reds. Let's see if the Reds can at least score a run. And the Angels and the Guardians. The Guardians are not off to a great start, but they're tied for first because they AL Central. And Soriano is pitching for the Angels, who are off to a slightly better start than Certainly I was expecting. So we had a full slate of games, and it's going to lead us right to our trivia question, and that is this. What future Hall of Famer lost the most 1-0 games in his career? There you go. What future Hall of Famer lost the most 1-0 games in their career? Put your answer right down here on YouTube and follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter, or whatever they're calling it these days, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. And please leave your messages here on YouTube. Talking about the 1-0 on the wrong end of it Reds. The extension's going on. A roof being repaired in Tampa Bay, maybe, and things not looking great in Sacramento. Come on, Sacramento fans, show up. I will. This has been Locked On MLB for what day is it? The 3rd day of April, 2025. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.